The chocolate lava cake is widely considered a pinnacle of restaurant desserts. Slice into a properly executed version, and a rich, hot liquid center spills out perfectly onto the plate. But if you've ever tried making one at home, you've likely experienced the exact opposite. You pull the ramekins out of the oven and end up with either a dry, dense sponge or a collapsed puddle of chocolate soup. That failure stems from a widespread culinary myth. Countless recipes tell you that achieving a liquid center is just a matter of undercooking a standard cake batter. Flour and raw eggs do not magically transform into a glossy dessert sauce just because you pulled them out of the oven early. If you undercook batter, you are simply eating hot, raw dough. A flawless liquid center is never achieved through guesswork and a kitchen timer. It requires an act of structural culinary engineering. The authentic method, originating in France as the chocolate coulant, relies on a pre-made, chemically stable insert hidden deep inside the batter. For this build, we are using a salted caramel ganache core. Sugar can take on incredibly diverse physical states, ranging from brittle shards to soft candies and flowing liquids, depending entirely on how it is manipulated. To engineer that core, you have to abandon standard baking techniques entirely and focus on the thermal chemistry of sugar and fat. Creating a flawless two-state dessert requires completely separating the internal chemistry of the core from the external architecture of the cake itself. As the temperature hits 350 degrees Fahrenheit, sucrose molecules snap apart and recombine into new aromatic compounds. Adding water creates a wet caramel, where it acts as a thermal buffer to dissolve sugar evenly and prevent early hotspots. But boiling sugar is highly volatile. If a single rogue sugar crystal creeps up the side of the pan and drops back in, it seeds a rapid chain reaction, causing the entire liquid structure to seize and crystallize. Assuming that doesn't happen, the water boils away, and the unadulterated sugar reaches its final stage. As it cools, it hardens rapidly into a rigid, brittle glass structure known as hard cracked caramel. While hard cracked caramel provides pure flavor, a rigid, shattering piece of glass is completely useless for a flowing cake center. To make it flow, the sugar requires a radical structural intervention. That intervention happens at the peak of the boil, through the violent thermal reaction of introducing heavy cream and butter to the molten sugar. The cream serves a distinct mechanical function. Its inherent water and protein content instantly shock the mixture, halting the caramelization process in its tracks. The butter then emulsifies into the liquid. Fat molecules physically wrap around the sugar, preventing it from ever reforming into that rigid crystalline structure. Two final safeguards lock in texture. Inverted sugars, like corn syrup, guarantee a smooth, pliable consistency, while a pinch of kosher salt dampens the sugar's natural bitterness. This stabilized liquid gold is then poured directly into molds and frozen completely solid. Freezing transforms the ganache into a chemically stable payload, specifically engineered to melt predictably the moment it is exposed to secondary heat. To assemble the dessert, that frozen caramel ganache payload is dropped directly into the center of a ramekin filled with liquid chocolate cake batter. This diagram shows the physical phenomenon inside the baking vessel. The frozen core creates a massive thermal gradient. High heat violently attacks the outer batter, while the center remains a frozen thermal zone. The exterior absorbs that heat, expanding and setting into a solid structure. By the time the oven's penetrating heat energy finally reaches the absolute center, it has lost its intensity. It is now only powerful enough to thaw the engineered insert back to its natural liquid state. It never cooks it. Achieving this culinary masterpiece relies on calculating and exploiting physical chemistry to bend ingredients to your exact will.